transformation happen through people mindset reset. And of course, when we speak about mind reset, we will of course introduce Maya Al-Hawari, who will talk about adapting by emotional intelligence. Maya is a culture and change expert. Then we will move on to building that type of harmony with nature and sustainability with Dr. Edna. Dr. Edna Ruiz-Santos, Senior Advisor, Global Medical Affairs. She will speak about how we pulled back from the edge, global solutions for a sustainable future. Then, of course, we have to move on and speak about adapting values chains for conscious educational gains with Manal Zainuddin. Manal is a global educational consultant. The core theme of this conference, in fact, is social impact. And here comes our brilliant speaker, Nuha Hafni, who will be founder and CEO of People of Impact. She's award-winning leader, and she will talk about open innovation for social impact. Arundhati Siegel, brand strategist and marketing consultant, will talk about strategic planning for professional, and we will end all those beautiful sessions with Her Royal Highness Princess Moradun, CEO of the Global Summit Group, and she will talk about women in leadership and their roles in the post-corona era. So, dear audience, today is just so rich, and I hope that you will enjoy every and each presentation of our professional speakers. Let's start with Dr. Yasser Baha. Dr. Yasser, the mic is yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hi everyone. Thank you, Dr. Hala, for hosting this amazing event. Thanks for our speakers who did it yesterday, and for our speakers today and tomorrow, inshallah. And thanks for the audience who left their other tasks, other responsibilities, and dedicated this time just to listen to us and give us the opportunity to serve them as much as we can. Because I like some untraditional talks and ideas, I always say and start my my talks with this kind of poetry. I say I'm not your traditional or typical speaker. I was the guy of perfection, which led me to a severe, long self-rejection. That self-rejection, to avoid it and to avoid that unhealthy contradiction, I had to come up with a very bold conviction, just to rebuild my body, brain, and spirit connection through embracing my perfect imperfection. So this is Yasser Baha. If I was to introduce myself 9 years ago, I had to tell just, this is Yasser. I have 14 years banking experience. I am a branch manager in Union National Bank. Full stop, and that's it. So 9 years later, which is today, I can tell many things. So let me take you in a quick journey when I was a branch manager in that bank 9 years ago. I was in my comfort zone. I had nothing to think of that might change my life, that might change my mind. I was not into self-development at all. Nothing that bothered me to move out of my comfort zone. At that time, it was a good position. I'm living in a nice place. My kids are in the best school in Fujairah. I was in Fujairah at that time. So nothing to let me just think to change my career path or do anything different than what I was doing at that time. But all of a sudden, I just had a moment, which I call a reflection moment, and asked myself, am I that happy person? Am I fulfilled? Am I satisfied? And I found that it's not what I'm doing that made me satisfied or happy or fulfilled. I need to do something different. I was just doing my banking job during the day, going back home, doing nothing to improve myself or even improve my family to a place that can take us to a very different level. So at that time, I decided to quit my banking job. It was a very tough decision because I had no business in mind. I had no other offer from any other place. So I gave myself just 2 months as a deadline, either to have another job and resign and move, or just to quit and find out how it goes after I quit. And the second probability happened. I resigned, having no job, having no business in mind, and I started to think what I should do. For 11 months, I stayed jobless. During this period, which was very tough, I almost spent all my savings. I sold many stuff just to continue my living here in United Arab Emirates, which is very expensive. This period was a kind of rebuilding myself, just reflecting on everything I can do. And at the end of this 11 months, I had an offer from a college in Abu Dhabi just to start my job as a coordinator, a quality coordinator, which is totally different than my total 14 years experience. And it was less than 50% of my income when I was a branch manager. It was sending me 10 years ago, maybe in my career path. It was not an easy decision, but that was the only option in front of me. And at that time, it was in Abu Dhabi, and I had to leave my family in Fujairah just for that job, staying from Sunday to Thursday in Abu Dhabi, going back to Fujairah to visit them, literally to visit them in the weekend. And my wife took care of everything at this period, around 8 months. I stayed in the college for around 3 years, but after 8 months from joining the college, they promoted me to be the head of registration and admission, which was a yes to me to achieve this point. And I was in managerial level again, having 16 people reporting to me. But for the next 2 years, I felt the same feeling. This is not my place. I am meant to do something else. So I have been offered another job in one of the companies in Abu Dhabi as well, as a senior consultant and trainer. I started the job, and after 8 months, the company was going to bankrupt, which again was another downturn in my life. But fortunately, I got a job which I'm currently possess, which is business excellence expert in Ras Al Khaimah government. Now I'm very happy with my job because what I'm doing right now is consulting with the government entities here in Ras Al Khaimah, around 16 companies, and all of them, I am the go-to person when it comes to 6 areas, which is sustainability, governance, assets management, HR, innovation, and future foresight, which made me very fulfilled nowadays because I am transforming organizations, cultures, and lives. But again, that was not enough for me. So around 4 or 5 years ago, I was into training since I joined that college. I delivered a lot of courses. I tried to enhance my skills and my capabilities to change my career path later on. So I got a lot of certifications. And it was not only certifications, because yesterday, Dr. Al-Balushi, she was talking about, Dr. Laila Al-Balushi was talking about the certifications and the skills. So I tried to gain as much knowledge as I can. So I got mentored and trained by many very well-known trainers and mentors all over the world: Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Angie Harrington, Lisa Nichols. I attended with some of them private courses, and the others I attended many courses and read all their books, most of their books, I would say. So if I'm telling about myself right now, I would say I'm emotional intelligence coach, NLP coach, executive coach. I am an author. I am editor-in-chief in one of the electronic magazines. I have my weekly articles in Arabic and English. I'm writing my 2 books, one in Arabic, one in English right now. I am a poet. I am the 3rd Arabic speaker in the world to get a certificate called IIB, Investors in People Advisor. So all these achievements would never have happened if I didn't take that decision 9 years ago, having nothing, and I threw myself in nowhere. So whenever I'm coaching any client, when he's telling me I'm jobless, I was there. I'm working in a job that I don't like, I was there. I lost all my money, I have nothing to do, I was there. I worked in a job that has a manager that he's underestimating what I'm doing, I was there. So that's why I'm not talking from the point of certifications, I'm talking from the point of qualifications. So that gives me the credibility that I really feel when I'm transforming people's life in my coaching sessions or even in the company's level. So in the morning, I am business excellence expert. After 2:30 p.m., I am a coach in different domains, as I've just said. So today I'm taking you in that journey to tell you that consulting these companies, I came up with many best practices, either through the people that I worked with and we came up with those ideas, or I read them somewhere. So please bear with me, because you will find some stuff that could be a bit crazy, that you will find some stuff that it could be not applicable nowadays. But again, when it happens, it will really have a paradigm shift in people's life, which consequently will affect the organization itself. So I will start my presentation right now. And I need some interaction from your side. And I will tell you later how can we interact in this. Firstly, any organization has this kind of collaboration. They need to have some actions, ideas, plans, but there is a very important part, which is the first on the list asset that any organization needs, which is people. When we're talking about people, we're not talking only about the customers, we're talking about the employees. Because some people are telling number one is the customer. Some people are telling number one is the employees. Both are right, it depends on the perspective. Because if we're talking about the people, who is running the business, we're talking now about the people. Who is keeping the business running, we're talking now about the customers. So it depends on the perspective. But again, there is no contradiction between both. Nowadays, it comes to the happiness, well-being, wellness of any organization. So it comes on the top. And just if you can hear to anyone's speech nowadays, which is if they are asking what is the number one thing that you should care of, it's our health nowadays. So we need to keep ourselves healthy and our organization healthy as well. These are some terms that if we read them, we feel that this company takes care about its people. So once I go to the coming slides, which talks about the best practices that I'm telling you about, let's take a time off and think about those things from two perspectives. The first one, do you agree on them or you don't agree on them? So if you agree on them and like them, you will type in the chat number 1. If you don't agree with them, you will type in the chat number 2. The second thing, if you have them in your place, either you are an employee or a business owner, right? If you have them, just write A. If you don't write them, if you don't have them, just write B. So you might write 1A, which means I like it and have it. You might write 1B, I like it, but I don't have it. You might write 2A, I don't like it, but we have it. You might write 2B, which means you don't like it and you don't have it. So remember this. And once I ask you, write the number, you need to do this. So let's start for some disruption. And the disruption here is in the health part. When I'm talking about disruption in the health part, do you find this stuff when you have any meetings in your company? Are you offering this or you are offering fast food? In your lunch, in your breakfast, when you are hosting an event? So having healthy people will consequently have a healthy company. So we need to take care about this. Now, before starting with the best practices, I will ask you a question and I need your answer in the chat box. What can you read? Whatever happened, whatever comes in front of you now, tell me what you read. In the chat box. How do you read this? Quickly, quickly, quickly. Oh, wow. Okay. Just 3 answers? Okay. Wow. We had just 2 right answers, 3 right answers. Okay, so some people saw it vision, which I don't know, I can't read vision, but some people read it illusion and some people read it optical. And it's both optical illusion. If you look at the colored part, it's illusion. If you look at the white part, it's optical. So that's what happens really in life. In our real life, in our true life, we find this. We have perspectives. We might see something that we agree on, someone else does not agree on. And the same happens with the coming practices that I will show you. So let's start. And don't remember the guidelines. 1, you like it. 2, you don't like it. A, you have it. B, you don't have it. So I need a number and the figure and an alphabet. Okay. So firstly, some organizations have GEM in their organization. Why do they offer this? They know the impact of having a GEM on their employees' life. So I need people now to write 1A, 1B, or 2A, 2B. 1B, you like it, but you don't have it. Let's decide very quick. 1B, you like it, you don't have it. 1B, you like it, you don't have it. Okay. And Dr. Hala, please help me at the end. We need to know the majority. Was it 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, if you can? Okay. So you like it, but you don't have it. If you are in a position that you are a decision maker, we need to go for something like this. If you are not, try to find a way to convince your management people who can take the decisions to have this kind of practice in their place, as long as we like it. If you have a GEM, we might have this kind of culture. How can you see this picture? How can you describe it? How can you describe this picture in the chat? How can you see it? Bridging gaps. Wow, I like this. Trying to the impossible. Energy. Wow. Agility, flexibility, multitasking, adaptivity. Yes, all this stuff you can get it out of this photo. So again, let's continue. Some organizations have setless workplaces, which allow people to sit while they work, or to sit in a better place, in a better position, or even to stand. So do you have this in your workplace? Again, 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. 1, you like it. 2, you don't. A, you have it. 2, B, you don't. Wow, we have 1A. Elena, yeah, great. Abama, we have it. Wow, okay. So some people have this. This is a great, people, you know, when people take care about their health and the organization takes care about their health, it helps them a lot. And we have many practices here that talk about health. This kind of practice might happen in every morning, and I found it in one of the organizations that I worked with. They don't oblige their employees to do this, but they give them the option. If you do this, you might have an impact on your performance appraisal at the end. So do you like it or not? And you have it or not? Let's have 1As, 1Bs, 2As, 2Bs. There is no 2 so far. That means everyone likes all these practices. That's great. Having this kind of exercises in the morning, that motivates everything. It puts you in alignment between your body, your brain, and your spirit. Work from home, which is a trend right now, and I think most organizations have this option, which was not that familiar before. It was not that understood by many organizations, I would say. So let's vote who has this one and who doesn't have it, who likes it, who doesn't. Working from home has a lot of privileges, as we see here: the traffic, productivity, flexibility, so many things that you can find while you are working from home. It has some drawbacks, but again, it depends from one organization to another. Meditation. Wow. One of the companies that when I offered them this kind of practices, and they chose this to be the first practice they start with, because they know what the impact is out of the meditation. The benefits could be reduced stress, clarity of mind, energy levels will be increased, connect with others. All these privileges will be there. can you imagine that it's not about you to decide to meditate or not? It's about your organization that encourages you and motivates you to do this. Wow. So some people, do you have this? Yeah. Kirsten has it. Elena has it. Wow, that's great. The parental coaching. Most of the employees, most of the employees are parents, either a wife or a husband, and they have some issues with their kids. When I offered this practice to one of the companies, they liked it the most because they said many moms at their organization have issues with their kids. So they assigned one coach to just solve their problems at their houses. So it's not only about your from 9 to 5 job or from 8 to 4, whatever, it's even about your other place, which is your home. So they take care about the health, the family health, not only for the employees' health. So it's a great practice that I really liked, and the organizations who adopted this, they found a great impact on that. Financial literacy. Many people are struggling in their finances. They don't know what to spend, what to not, where to invest, how to save. So some of the companies implement this kind of coaching. They provide their people with coaches who can help them to have this kind of how to handle their monthly income, their disposable income, where to invest. So this kind of advices help the people just to know that it's not only about their job, but it's about their whole life. So again, can we see some A's, some ones, some B's? Okay. The emotional intelligence, which is a great topic. When I started studying the emotional intelligence, I found that I was doing many things related to that topic, but with no scientific proof, with no knowledge. I just took it for granted. Just, yeah, it's a common sense. But when I studied the emotional intelligence and applied this in the workplace, it has a lot of privileges. And sure, Dr. Maya Al-Hawari will talk about this in the next session. Retirement, wow. This was great when I discovered it in one of the companies. They hired coaches just to think with the people what they will do after being retired. It's not only about their job, it's even after leaving their job. I wish I can find one A here, someone who likes this and they have it at their company. I wish. So one you have, or you like it, two you don't, A you have it, B you don't. I need a lot of interaction, please. Okay, retirement is when you stop living at work and begin working at living. So the companies who take care about this, who well understand this, they really take action and take care about the people. That really builds this kind of loyalty to their, from their employees to the company itself. A snooze policy. I will not tell much details about it before I hear from you if you like it or not and if you have it or not. A snooze policy is about having from 20 minutes to 40 minutes a snooze time every day, just to take a snooze, whether in your office, in a dedicated place for that. But in some places, when they have this, because they know the value on the employee's health, once they have this kind of snooze policy. And I'm sure that most of you saw this Richard Branson photo, and he commented on that photo by telling that, look how our people getting tired in office because they are so loyal and engaged. He didn't punish that employee. He didn't say that he's fired. No, he take it from the positivity point of view. He likes this, and they were all laughing about it. So this is their true management. Okay, so if you don't have a snooze policy, if you have a snooze policy, this could be the dedicated place. Facebook have this as a snoozing place for their employees to have this kind of snooze during the day. If you don't offer this or something similar, you might have this in your place. Someone will have an innovative idea to have a snooze by their own. And if you don't do this or have this, you might have this. Some people might take a nap somewhere else just to take this kind of snooze. And again, if you don't have this, you might see this in your workplace, which is totally unacceptable. So what I promote here, what I advise here, just to go for this policy. It might not be that common, but again, I started with telling you I will offer you some crazy stuff. So having standing meetings, it's not meeting while sitting, it could be standing, and some other organizations took it to the next level, which is walking meeting. And I'm sure it's common between some organizations here in UAE and some other organizations in some other countries. So these are some snapshots of the crazy ideas, walking meetings, thumbs up. Thank you, Lee. So it has a privilege. So let's say that these snaps are telling you you have many ideas you can go for. And what I need from you now is just do it, either to advise for it or to just say it's not anymore to go further. So customers will never love a company, employees should love it first. To end with, this is my ethical bribe, I would say. It's just a gift for people who are attending here. If you want to get things done fast, I'm offering all people who are getting connected with me on my social media this free book. I will send it to you once you are getting connected to me. Send me a private message and I will send it to you directly. Let me end with this. If you quit and stop trying, you will be a loser. If you are persistent in your action, your dream gets closer. And thank you. This is Yasser Baha, happy to serve you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Yasser. It's been really a very interactive session. I wonder, we have only 1 minute, but yes, we have no questions so far. So I would like to just express my appreciation, and we would like to welcome the second speaker, Dr. Maya Al-Hawari. Dr. Maya, are you there?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Welcome to this session. We are very happy to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being here.
Dr. Maya is a culture and change expert, and today she will speak about adapting by emotional intelligence. The mic is yours, Dr. Maya.
Thank you so much for having me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So I'd like to start by sharing my screen. So can everybody see this? All right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A bit about myself. My name is Maya Al-Hawari. I am the first PhD scholar to research emotional intelligence and its effect on leadership in the MENA region. I'm an Emirati national, a TEDx speaker. I'm also a certified trainer. I trained about 900 hours around the United Arab Emirates on positivity, tolerance, emotional intelligence, soft skills, speaking skills, customer service, quality service. Also a humanitarian at heart, and I was given several titles, alhamdulillah, one of which started in 2017, 2018. The Ambassador of Knowledge from the UAE Red Crescent as a volunteer speaker for 2 years. And then 2019, I was chosen amongst 50 social media influencers to represent His Highness Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Hamid Al Naimi in the Year of Tolerance, for the Year of Tolerance. And our role was to initiate initiatives on tolerance and and raise awareness on tolerance. In 2020, within the Corona and COVID-19 era, I decided to dedicate myself, such as those who were standing in line on the first line of defense, doctors, medical doctors, police, emergency, you know, any of those people that were helping. I thought to myself, what could I do? So I decided to volunteer my time, 3 months of speaking and helping others overcome their fears. And upon that, I was given the title Community Service, Ambassador of Community Service for 2020 in the MENA region. I am proud of where I have arrived towards. And the reason I bring this up is because some people tend to talk about themselves just to show others that they are amazing and they are more accomplished. And you're sitting there saying, wow, I don't know how I feel. But the reason I say this is because I myself haven't come this far, this easy. It came from a long struggle with depression for 5 years in 2013. And it was because of this depression that I went through. I remember I went so low in myself, in my head. For those who know what depression is, you at one point think of losing yourself or hurting yourself. But with the grace of Allah, because I do have a special needs child, and at the time I was married, and I remember thinking to myself, how am I gonna even do this to me? Somebody needs me, my child needs me, she needs me, where will I throw her? I remember thinking to myself that. And alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah, I was able to put myself together and keep standing. Medical attention came very far later on within the 5 years. It was the last year. And what made me become the person I am today and work myself and help raise awareness. Even my PhD has become on emotional intelligence and how you lead yourself to be able to lead the community around you, whether you're in a family or within a team or even an institution. For you to even think of leading others, you need to first know how to lead yourself. And to be able to lead yourself, you need to really dig deep and think of who you are as an individual. So it was within those 5 years that I tried to get myself together, and I did a lot of research. I was given the gift from the Lord, the gift of curiosity. I'm not interested in what others are saying or doing. I'm interested in learning, academic. So when you have that kind of curiosity, subhanallah, al-ilm nur, al-ilm, science is light, and it will shed light on you and it will help you move forward. But unfortunately, we have this cultural image in our mind that Arabs, and I know even in Asia, we're not allowed to see psychiatrists, or not allowed to see people, or medical professionals that have to deal with psychology because you're not crazy. You think to yourself, I'm not crazy, I can do this. Nothing is wrong with me. So it took me 5 years. Some people say you're an educated woman. Why would it take you 5 years? Don't you think that's a long time? The denial that you live in, the cultural heaviness that you live in, the expectation, you almost live for others, you never live for yourself. And those 5 years reminded me and taught me that live for yourself. And to be able to live for yourself and love yourself. We talk about the notion of loving me. You need to love you. Loving you doesn't mean get a massage or get your hair done. That's amazing, you should. But there's that soul care. There's that quality control of your soul. Coach Yasser here spoke about meditation and all of the useful tips on how to improve on internal customers, whom are employees. But then if you really think about it and you say to yourself, it's upon the leadership to change all of this in organizations. But what if those leaders are depressed? What do they do? So for me to be able to come out of that, I had to take charge of my own life, and I learned so much. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, depression. And it was who I am. It made me who I am today. So as a candidate, as an Emirati national candidate, PhD candidate, I just passed my qualifying exam in June. And it was a defining moment in my life. And I knew that the reason depression was the best thing that's ever happened to me is because it spoke to purpose. It spoke to meaning. Who are we without meaning and purpose? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord, has given us the virtue of awareness. And the virtue of awareness is only bestowed upon us, human beings, as creatures. The sun, the moon, the trees, the universe, they all have the wind, they all have a clear-cut purpose. But human beings with awareness, the freedom of choice and the right of choice, what is your purpose? Depression was able to put me on this track. And my purpose, Maya Al-Hawari, is to raise awareness on mental health. Now, how do we do this? Okay. What is emotional intelligence and what is IQ? So very simply, I tried to put very short slides together, very to the point, to be able to shed some light on what emotional intelligence is. So if we were to look at emotional intelligence, and which is EQ, emotional quotient, and you look at IQ, intelligent quotient, and you look at it and you say, okay, what's the difference? When I was growing up in school, I remember I failed math, chemistry, and physics 9, 10, 11. And I remember it was always a hot summer for me. I always had to redo exams. Yes, by grade 12, I managed to pass. And yes, when I went to United Arab Emirates University, I aced, graduated second degree honors, and then went to the States, graduated with second degree honors. And now my PhD, I look back and I say, why was I even struggling? Like, why was that even an option? Or why was I even put? It's because, subhanAllah, we are born with two. We're born with IQ and EQ. Intelligent quotient is your academic abilities. It's unfortunately what people used to say before, oh, he's so smart. And then you have other siblings or family members in the same family, like brothers and sisters, and you say, but this one, oh, he's the failure in the family. Or they even mumble together, they talk about it, and he's always bringing trouble, and he's always different, and why aren't you like your brothers? Why aren't you like your cousins? That doesn't mean if they don't have enough or high IQ, but they actually have something called EQ. EQ happens or is formed in the first 5 years of a child's life. Your subconscious, through research, it shows that subconscious is built within 7 years of your being. So if you were to say the personality, the character you have today is because of the 7 years that you were born with, the environment, the surroundings, your memories, every layer of experience, emotion, bad, good, that you saw is you are a manifestation of that. Does that mean I've lost it? Does that mean that I can't improve? In fact, IQ is highly unlikely for you to really push yourself because it's genetic. But with EQ, it's a skill, it's elastic. It's something that you can stretch and you can come out and help yourself by training. And that's what we do, professional development. I as a trainer, a certified trainer, that's what we do. I go into government entities here in the United Arab Emirates. I've gone through all over the United Arab Emirates, and I've become an advocate for emotional intelligence because people think that they're dumb, but they really aren't. Emotional intelligence is something so unique and so special. It contains, within emotional intelligence, is social intelligence. Within emotional intelligence is how you're able to have empathy, how you're able to bring together, to build it, to glue it together. A team is a team for a reason. A family is a team. Usually we say the mother is the core of the household, but the father is the core of the marriage, is the glue, so for every person on that team, for every leader, there is a role. But what brings it together is that the quality of emotional intelligence and not the quality of intelligent quotient. So this 80% and 20% that you see in front of you, in fact, research proves that if you were to succeed in your job, 80% of your success goes to emotional intelligence. So it is because of emotional intelligence that you're able to be more successful by 80%. If you were to depend on IQ, the dependence on IQ is only 20% of the success of your job. So today we look at managers and we look at leaders, and you look at the late Sheikh Zayed, and he wasn't an engineer, and he wasn't a professor, and he wasn't anybody that had a degree. He was a very basic Bedouin, and all he had was vision. What leaders see, that you can always be, you know the saying, you can always be a manager. A manager can never be a leader, but a leader can be a manager. So vision, he had vision, and he had empathy. He had emotional intelligence. He knew how to bring it together. So it is proven as well that in your professional success, IQ, your CV gets you hired, but your EQ, the level of EQ, keeps you in the job, or gets you promoted. Absolutely. I hope I'm not, I hope I'm on time with all of this, inshallah. Yes, I am. All right. So we say that EQ keeps you in the job and IQ gets you in the door. What is emotional intelligence? How does it work? Well, emotional intelligence is actually a choice that you, through awareness, you actually make a choice to change. You make a choice to adapt. What does adapting mean? Adapting is the essence of emotional intelligence. Some change is such a difficult endeavor. You know, we say no pain, no gain. So if you're thinking that change is something that will come very easily, you would have seen a lot of differences, a lot of people that you would have loved to see different and happier. You wouldn't have finds as much as depression and sadness that you have today. I was reading an article yesterday, and they were saying that suicidal rates, especially within 2020, has risen up in adolescence. So basically in between 15 years old to 10 years old, that's the age where children are very much thinking and contemplating suicide because of depression, and parents are not aware of it. So when you look at this and you say, how am I even going to change the way people think? That's what we do. That's the whole idea, is to raise awareness. Emotional intelligence is not something set in stone, brick and mortar. Emotional intelligence is muscular. It's something, it's like you're stretchable. You can improve, but to be able to improve, it's tough. It's something that you have to maintain as a habit. And a habit, to build a habit, you need 21 days to reprogram a habit to 40 days. And new Harvard research proves that 66 days, recent 66 days to reprogram a habit is needed. So can you imagine, you think people have the stamina and have that strength? It's so hard coming out of sadness, coming out and going out on the light and trying to be happy. And even, you know, people, you know, they say, fake it till you make it. You know, that doesn't really work. How can you fake it till you make it? Maybe in certain situations, but not when you're talking about soul, not when you're talking about trying to figure out who you are as an individual. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is 4 things. Number 1, self-awareness. So basically, who am I? Like ask yourself that question. Who am I? Positives, not negatives, but room for improvement. What are some of the skills that you really need to improve on? Like you need to change. And we're not talking professional skills here. We're talking skills or emotions that have to do with jealousy, with hatred, with tolerance, unforgiving, kindness, empathy, understanding. How much are you of those? I remember I was training a course in one of the government agencies here in Fujairah, and I asked them, so tell me one good thing about you. And then she said, I'm kind. And the other one said, I'm kind. And then I went through the room and like 10 people were kind out of God knows how many. And then I thought to myself, wow, all of you are kind? That's impressive. So where are the bad people and where are the haters in the world? If you come to look down to it, people are not very specific about their emotions. Emotional intelligence helps you to break them down to the detail. So you're kind with whom? Are you kind with everybody? Or are you kind with only your best friends? Or are you kind only with your family members, but if it comes to your mother-in-law, your sister-in-law, you want nothing to do with them. So that's not kindness, that's called selective. And for you to be selective, that means that your emotional intelligence needs to be in check and needs to be rechecked. So once you have that self-awareness practice going on, then you do self-management. So you try to build those skills on how to improve your inside, your emotions towards others. And then number 3, social awareness. For me, if I were to tell you, I would redefine emotional intelligence by adding in between social awareness and social skills, I would say motivation. So I would say number 3 is motivation. Am I able to wake up after I have self-awareness and self-management? Am I able to wake up in the morning motivated? Is that something that you do? Are you able to wake up in the morning happy? Do you feel that you have that urge to life? If that is what you have, you're okay. Even if you have a little bit of that every day in the morning, you're okay. If you don't, you need to go back and do the self-awareness and self-management check. Once you're motivated, then you begin to love people and you begin to say, okay, I have room for others in my life and I want to be able to embrace and enjoy people. So you have to have social awareness, so basically understanding society, finally being able to handle society. Last 2 slides, some of the good implications for men and women. For those who are very careful about learning about emotional intelligence, it helps with emotional expression and can enhance supervisor relationships, especially in the workplace, leverage relationship building skills, effective relationship management, positively influences through use of EI skills. So Coach Yasser spoke about the an environment of how to make it, improve organizational behavior. But also, and you spoke of one part about emotional intelligence, this is it. How do you build those effective relationship managements? How do you foster empathy? How do you create that healthy work environment where there is no negativity, there's no animosity, there's no backbiting, there's no fighting over getting that chair, you or me, well deserved, not so, all that bickering. How do you control that? So once you delve into emotional intelligence and you get somebody that has an emotional intelligence expertise, that is what happens through that kind of science. Last but not least, how do we strengthen our EQ? Some people like to get a mentor, a friend, a coach, somebody that can refocus your intentions and refocus your vision until you get it and until it becomes your habit, until it becomes something part of you. Obviously, you need to, let's say you stop seeing a coach and we still have fears and we still have doubts and we still have anger and loss and we have uncertainties, right, that we deal with in our lives. And how do you deal with those? Try to find somebody that you can trust, somebody that will not judge you. Could be a friend, could be a sister, could be somebody that is near you. Don't suppress your emotions. I always say cry. Crying is a healthy activity. Excuse my French, it's like going to the bathroom. It needs to come out. It's not something that should be bottled in. And last but not least, don't bury your emotions and speak up. So communication, if you find somebody that has hurt you or somebody that you feel that, don't hold a grudge because it will boil up and it will fester. So as soon as try to think, make some sense out of it and then approach and discuss. Thank you so much. You're most welcome to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter, anything that you choose on Maya Al-Hawari. I will stop sharing my screen. If there's anything that you need to ask about, it's a pleasure being on this platform. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Hada.
Yeah, that was really wonderful speech.
Thank you.
And in fact, all of the audience are just, highly appreciated. We hope to have you one more time, inshallah, in future conferences. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody. Thank you for all your kind messages. It's I appreciate it. Such a pleasure, Dr. Hala. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Bye-bye.
And now let's welcome Dr. Edna. Dr. Edna Dweez Santos. She's a Senior Advisor, Global Medical Affairs. Dr. Edna, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me, Doctor? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, your voice is quite clear. We are very sorry for the delay, but in fact, Dr. Yasser and Dr. Maya are, just like listening to a harmonious song. You will never have the energy to stop. So speaking about harmony with nature, with the world around us, we come to your topic about sustainability. And I suppose you are going to talk about how we pulled back from the edge, global, yes.
Global solutions, that's right.
Global solutions for a sustainable future. So, a really enjoyable topic. The mic is yours.
Inshallah, inshallah. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sustainable Goals. I'm going to talk about some solutions also and how receptive is the world to sustainable or impact investing. Now, really, it will be very difficult on my part, to follow after the talk of Mr. Yasser and Dr. Maya. I wanted to listen more to Dr. Maya and her emotional, and quotient, as she said, and that I have been through a lot also in my life's journey. And now we go to impact investing or sustainability. You should remember that your values define you. But do your investments reflect who you are? As a global leader in sustainable investing, one should live up to one's principles without sacrificing performance. So your investments should not only say good things about you, but should do good for everyone. So what is sustainable investing? It's a way to invest for the returns you expect while staying true to your values. That's whether you care for a cause, driving social change, or how a company or country conducts itself. By the end of 2019, 53% of investors in the United Arab Emirates already invest sustainably. 47%, however, said they don't understand sustainable investing. They were not clear what it is and how it can make a difference. In sustainable investing, you do not sacrifice returns, and at the same time, you do good. There are three ways with which you can do it. One is by exclusion, another one is by integration, and the other one is by impact investing. Now, what do you mean by exclusion? You exclude companies and industries that do not reflect your values from your portfolio, like companies that pollute, companies that produce unsafe products, or entire sectors that you simply do not agree with. Now, in integration, you integrate environmental, social, and corporate governance factors into your portfolio to improve your returns and reduce your risks. Now we go to impact investing. You invest with the intention to generate measurable social and environmental impact alongside a financial return. So you can see the good you are doing along with getting competitive financial returns. So you seek good returns and do good in the world. In other words, impact investing is simply deploying capital to do good and reap returns. It is a way wherein investors use their hard-earned savings to reap returns at par with the market while doing good to society or the environment. What is interesting is that this can be made in both emerging and developed markets. The growing market for this type of investment uses the capital to address the world's most pressing problems in sectors like sustainable agriculture, conservation, microfinance, while not omitting affordable and accessible basic services like housing, healthcare, and education. When and how did sustainable investing come into being? Impact investing, otherwise known as socially responsible investing, has its roots traced to the religious teachings of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. In the last century, the concept began to gain popularity in the United States following the Vietnam War, when protesters demanded that university endowment funds no longer invest in defense contractors. Gaining momentum in the 1970s, sustainable investments' long-standing principles progressed to represent a consistent investment philosophy allied with the investors' concerns. This ranged from avoiding the slave trade, war, and apartheid, and supporting fair trade, to issues more common today concerning the ethical impact of environment, social, and corporate governance. So why do we opt for impact investments? Let's delve a bit deeper on why one should opt for this investment type and what makes it unique. Impact investing challenges the long-held views that social and environmental issues should only be addressed by government agencies and philanthropic organizations, and that market investments should focus exclusively on achieving financial returns. What impact investing market offers are diverse and viable opportunities for investors to advance social and environmental solutions through investments. Okay, so now we go to the myths and realities regarding impact investing. Okay, myth number one, you sacrifice performance. Sustainable investment returns are comparable to what you can expect from conventional ones. According to research, investing sustainably improves returns and does not harm them. So it is a little surprise that sustainable investment market is growing. Myth number two, you cannot measure the impact. In reality, with impact investing, you can already see the difference of what you are making, since that's a part of the criteria. Even more promising, companies are reporting their social and environmental impact. Myth number three, you need to be an expert. A simple way to reflect your values is to choose sustainable investment mutual funds. By 2023, investors expect sustainable investing to the mainstream. So join the movement. So how big are impact investments in the United Arab Emirates or the region? Recent studies among UAE investors showed there is a good share of high net worth investors who are keen on committing more resources to sustainable investments. A recent study done by Investor Watch, reported by UBS Global Wealth Management, conducted among more than 5,300 millionaires across 10 markets, such as Brazil, China, Germany, Hong Kong, Italy, Singapore, Switzerland, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, and the United States, with at least 1 million in investable assets, excluding property, found that the highest rate of adoption, and listen to this, the highest rate of adoption in sustainable investing was found in the United Arab Emirates. From a sample size of 408 investors in the UAE, The study found a vast majority, 93% of UAE investors believe that they are not giving up investment performance by choosing a sustainable investment, in contrast to a global average of only 82%. Furthermore, 66% of UAE investors expect sustainable investments to outperform traditional investments compared to 50% of investors surveyed globally. The study showed also that UAE investors expect sustainable investing to grow from 53% to 66% over the next 5 years. 75% of investors expect it to be the norm in a decade, well above the global average of 58%. Who are the leading adopters of sustainable investing in the UAE? These are the investors aged over 65, with 73% of this age group expecting to hold sustainable investments by 2023, compared to 65% of 18 to 34-year-olds. The desire to make a positive impact is particularly strong among entrepreneurs in the Middle East. According to the second Essence of Enterprise report conducted by HSBC Private Banking in 2017, 29% of Middle Eastern entrepreneurs in their 20s are motivated to set up their business in part by the desire to have a positive impact on their community, while 33% say they are also driven to have positive economic impact, a greater proportion than their peers and every other region surveyed. So who stands to benefit from impact investing? Now let's dive deeper into who really are making these investments and who stands to gain the most from them. The fact is, impact investments have attracted a wide variety of investors, both individual and institutional. We have fund managers, development finance institutions, diversified financial institutions or banks, private foundations, pension funds, insurance companies, family offices, individual investors, non-governmental organizations, and religious institutions. Okay, impact investment opportunities for individuals are relatively small in our part of the world, with the exception of a few sukuks and green bands issued occasionally in the region. A sukuk is an Islamic financial certificate similar to a bond in Western finance that complies with Islamic religious law, commonly known as Sharia, as per Investopedia.com. So let us now have a closer look after COVID-19. Now let us take a closer look at the post-crisis world. We look at how to invest on a more indebted, less global, and more digital world. Investors will need to contend with higher taxation, financial repression, and moderately higher inflation, along with populism and protectionism, while navigating the transition from global to local supply and from physical to digital. So what are the key trends? COVID-19 has clearly become the single most important driver for financial markets over the last several months. After a strong rally from March lows, equity markets have been range-bound. Investors are weighing hope of a recovery against a second wave of virus cases, high valuations, and US-China trade tensions. So key trend number one, more indebted. Debt levels will be much higher at the end of the current crisis. The precise fiscal spending picture remains unclear, but given the current estimates, government debt as a percentage of GDP will be 15 to 25% higher by the end of 2021 than it was at the end of 2019 across much of Europe and the United States. This is broadly comparable with the scale seen between 2007, if you remember, and 2010 as a result of the global financial crisis. So the COVID-19 lockdown has been an unprecedented experiment on extreme localization, with many individuals banned from even leaving their own homes. These measures will clearly not persist in the long term. However, we believe that the world will be left structurally less global by the crisis, spurring on deglobalization trend. So it is advisable at this time to keep in mind three things. One, that we should plan. How do we plan? We plan in three ways: liquidity, longevity, and legacy. In liquidity, you should have resources to help maintain your lifestyle, which help provide short-term cash flow and can help you get past market volatility without looking at profits and losses. Now, in longevity, you should have resources to help improve your lifestyle, your long-term growth opportunities to cover your needs over the course of your life. And legacy, you should have resources to help improve the lives of others for funds that go beyond your lifestyle needs, like philanthropy and giving. Now, how do we protect ourselves? We ensure diversification with global assets and balances of stocks and bonds. Hedge opportunistically with some strategies right now are looking relatively cheap. Monitor credit investments to manage risks and consider a systematic approach to asset allocation. Now, how do we grow? The good news is we see no shortage of opportunities. With rates lower for longer, we recommend a diverse mix of dividend and income strategies. Screen for stocks that have lagged during the rally and enduring with changing ideas like sustainable investing, fintech, and gene therapy. Now, what is key trend number 2? The world will be less global. There will be focus on automation and robotics. The fourth industrial revolution, humanity's impact and influence on our planet is undeniable. Impact investing needs Silicon Valley, artificial intelligence, and machine learning and their potential implications for business operations and investment need quality data to properly assess intervention and strategies that actually work. Now, what is the third key trend? We will be more digital. The lockdown measures have forced many consumers and businesses to fundamentally change the way they buy and sell goods and services and became more digital, which is really happening now. While we think that most individuals and businesses will return to previous ways of working, while as lockdown measures are lifted, there will be some lasting changes. So what is the future of the tech economy? Digital lifestyles are no longer a choice, but a necessity. We remain connected to our screens while trying to maintain healthy digital habits. The COVID-19 pandemic and resulting lockdowns came as a major shock to many companies. To maintain business continuity, firms had to act quickly to ensure employees could work seamlessly from home. The consumer impact was much wider as consumers took the measure in stride by enhancing their digital engagement. We live in exciting times. While a potentially transformative innovation used to be a once-in-a-century phenomenon, the pipeline is now packed. Technology breakthroughs like quantum computing and fuel cells and other incredible potential to upend the global economy. And closer to the ground, we have drones and 3D printing, which are providing a glimpse into what the future holds. So how can we make the world a better place by 2030? In order to generate real impact, we must discover ways to invest toward the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. At the heart of sustainable and impact investing is supporting a positive social or environmental impact. There are 17 sustainable development goals ranging from clean energy to zero hunger. The need for capital is huge. It will take a country the size of Japan to finance it. Traditionally, governments and institutional investors help to fund the gap, that there is also private capital, and it is significant. In the next 20 years, listen to me, in the next 20 years, 460 billionaires will hand down $2.1 trillion to their heirs. That's the size of India's GDP. So why don't private investors get more involved? Because there is lack of transparency, lack of data availability, and lack of incentivization. So what can be done to improve this? The United Nations introduced Align 70, a platform to support the Sustainable Development Goals. So governments, development finance institutions, bank and insurances, and investors will be included in the Sustainable Development Goals, like corporate governance, inclusive growth, natural resources, and human needs and capabilities. So in conclusion, the key to activating these private investors is to present better data and analytics supporting these objectives of generating compelling financial returns as well as measurable impact to commit more capital to sustainable development goals related opportunities. So the UN SDGs will not be reached until 1, people are made aware of the sustainable development goals, and 2, sustainability is easier to understand. So that's all for now, and I hope that I have made at least it very clear what sustainable investing is all about, because that is very, very important now in our times. Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Hala, for giving me a chance to talk about sustainability.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Edna. Yes, through your talk, you exposed the challenges of while and post COVID-19, but still there are potentials and opportunities, hopefully, if we just look at the ethical, sustainable investments opportunities. And that, of course, leads us to talk more on values. For the world to survive, we need to take care and focus on the values, the great values that we want to preserve, especially at those difficult times. Thank you. Accept my appreciation, Dr. Edna. And let's welcome our next speaker, Manal Zainuddin. Manal Zainuddin, are you there, Manal?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. And in fact, the flow of thoughts, the stream of thoughts is going from one speaker to another. We spoke about organizational culture transformation, the importance of emotional intelligence, and Dr. Edna exposed the situation and the challenges we are facing in the while and post-COVID era. And now you are going, Manal is a global education consultant, and I think you are going to talk about adapting value chains for conscious educational gains.
Yes.
So here we have values and hopefully we have gains, so
yes.
Opportunities.
Yes.
So we are coming to the positive side of our conference.
Yes.
Go
sure.
ahead, the mic is with you.
Thank you. Okay. So, good day, everyone. I am so delighted to be here with you today on the platform of the leading global socio-economic forum of 2020. Okay. I would like actually to wholeheartedly thank the International Academy of Management Sciences and Property. I would also like to thank Dr. Muhammad Assadani and Dr. Hala Al-Minyawi. Dr. Hala has been incredibly kind, actually, and inspiring, gathering all those speakers from all around the globe to discuss the potentials, challenges, and expectations of the post-pandemic era. Dear fellow speakers, warmly welcomed attendees. When I first started my journey as a grade 1 teacher back in 2000 in Lebanon 20 years ago, all what I was thinking about was how to design my classroom to welcome children, how to design my lesson plans to teach children, and how to manage classes to engage children, and how to also adapt to my tasks as a typical teacher. So the scenario was pedagogy, curriculum, assessment, activities, self and time management as well. So my learners and myself were my only focus, my only responsibility. Moving up through elementary classes, 5 years later here in Saudi Arabia, more middle school classes and high school classes, the scenario continued to be pedagogy, curriculum, assessment, activities, self and time management. And consequently, my learners and myself were my only focus, my only responsibility. With humbleness, I proudly say that I excel because I was literally discovering and living a passion of myself. The educator who merged love for reading, for writing, learning, and self-expression with the sheer excitement of sharing that with the community. Why and how? Educators can easily relate to that. It's the inborn joy in us to create a path for ourselves and to create a path for others. It's this joy to stare in us the wonder that the sky is the limit, and giving and caring to the moon and back. Now, this might sound poetic, but that's how I've always visioned myself as an educator. However, when I was entrusted to be a head of department, which is a leadership position, a decision-making position, I was thrilled. I thought about applying all my teaching strategies and all those engaging practices for joyful learning and outstanding outcomes. And that was even more thrilling. I started building plans in my head, discussing that with teachers, steps and procedures to execute them, until I discovered that reaching the sky was not as easy as it seemed, and that we might not even be able to launch a rocket to the moon. I did reshape the department, achieving multiple replicas of successful classrooms, highly engaged learners, and excited teachers, but there was a missing link. Actually, there was a missing link that I could not decipher at that time. Now, 5 years later, as when I became a director, the same challenge continued to be, and it was even more challenging, because I was in a senior leadership position, and it was actually a what we can say a senior leadership position when you would be doing what everyone would dream to be. So in which teachers would be teaching wholeheartedly, regardless of any limitations, grow professionally and joyfully, in which also learners would be doing what they are in schools to do, to learn also excitedly and be happy, to be also in a school where senior leaders, including myself, would do what they were to do in a school, support holistically, grow professionally and joyously, and as well in which school owners would be fulfilling all their requirements, would be very satisfied and thriving all the way through. To those who are wondering how this narrative relates to the title of this talk, Adapting Value Chains for Conscious Educational Gains, I could actually list the following. Point number one, COVID's pressures are more than we can handle. So now more than ever, we have to mitigate all problems. Point number two, education to educators like me, and I'm certain there are thousands and thousands who harbor the same passion, are there in schools not just for a job and a salary, and that learners and staff have the right to fully enjoy being in schools. So here I would like to share with you the Science of Learning and Development, or SOLD, in which we can see that the whole child has the right to grow academically, cognitively, ethically, physically, psychologically, socially, emotionally as well. I would also like to share with you a version of teacher development framework embodying orbits, or ORBITS, the interdisciplinary through transdisciplinary approach that I have developed throughout the years. Point number three, when map and terrain differ, follow the terrain. Our aspirations cannot be always easily fulfilled. But as professionals, we must be realistic, but with grit, resilience, and innovation. Anything can be molded to make a better reality, almost anything. That's why imagination and innovation are keys. So I was a teacher and an academic director who studied education and language in the university. I do not speak as a business administration degree holder because I am not. What I did was researching diligently and independently basic business concepts when I felt sometimes tied to budget constraints in schools, and then when I felt unable to put those advanced school improvement plans in action. So I had to investigate and find answers. I leave financial planning to those who are equipped to do so, but I'm here today to set a value-driven framework that is measured from a holistic educational perspective. And point number five, this talk does not aim at criticizing owners, investors, or stakeholders. We all share responsibility and accountability. But today I cast the light showing the values of educational institutions, which both investors, owners, proprietors, potential investors, and stakeholders can understand and optimize. So there are two main questions that arise here. Can both stakeholders and shareholders meet at common ground? Yes, they can. And can we survive COVID? Yes, we can. So let me first address the shareholders represented for profit schools and potential investors. Now, private schools are not always founded by passionate educators who have a dream school in mind. Sometimes businessmen are advised to venture into this kind of investment in education when advised of the high profits in this type of industry, referred to as educational service industry, a term which I personally do not like to use, but as professionals and thinking in realistic terms, working in the field, this is reality in terms of operations. So we have here educational services offered through human and material resources, which necessitate expenses and naturally generate profits. Can we then consider that schools are organizations that have the same value chain, just like any other industry? In technical terms, yes, they do, but in essence, they do not and should not. So a business model referred to as value chain that was initiated by a Harvard professor, business school professor Michael Porter, mainly states that to understand firms, we cannot just look at them as a whole. understanding schools or organizations or businesses stem from the activities if a firm performs from start to finish. So analyzing the activities classified as primary and support activities, actions can be adjusted to meet targets. So this is from a business vantage point in which we see more emphasis on operations and products. In education, and after 20 years of being in the field, I believe that value chains are great tools that investors and school owners can be referred to in order to understand the real values behind this kind of operation on ground, personified by activities, mainly academic, operational, and financial. So it is about the process of learning and achievement. A school is there as a campus with facilities, is established for students' learning and well-being. Teachers and staff get recruited for the same target, students' learning and well-being. Parents pay fees also for the same target, students' learning and well-being. So learning here is the key. Therefore, what directs the entire process is learning. So for an investor, owner, it is easier when we direct attention to that value chain from an educational vantage point. Primary almost becomes support and vice versa. So when you look at the bottom purple line with those primary activities, we have leadership, readiness, and strategic school improvement planning. We have professional development of teachers, readiness and enrichment programs that are always continuous. We have curriculum instruction and assessment, resources, research, and operations. We also have extracurricular activities, counseling and health counseling as well. And of course, we have quality control and KPIs. What support this are, what support all this is something totally different. It's of course the human resources, recruitment and retention, which must be strategic, infrastructure, systems, and general management, including, of course, IT, inbound logistics, inventories, procurement, maintenance, and all of these operations. And of course, marketing and promoting brand, although this may not be really needed in this age of social media, multiple social media resources, when the school truly proves itself as effective. So what are some existing scenarios that continue during COVID, which we really have to look at? Scenario number one, when the owner does not have a strong background of education and its intricacies, and that's what leads to what we call a silo leadership. So the result of this is flows in decision making, and this kind of scenario is mainly initiated by a potential investor or a school owner or an investor. And the thinking concept behind that, or the bias, we can name it as domain dependence, which means what is mastered in one field, in this case business, cannot be clearly transferred to another field, which is academics. So here in this case, academics need to intervene and make decisions. Scenario number two, when the community makes judgment on schools, even by word of mouth. And of course, the result here is jeopardizing school reputation and losses in population in schools. Such a scenario is initiated by a community, the inner community, outer community, and the concept or the bias behind this is what we call a salient effect. And this means what highly draws our attention might not be the most important factor that we have to tend to. So we neglect, in this case, the hidden discrete factors that are more effective. Scenario number three, when teachers do not like to renew contracts in the school, and of course, parents complain that that continuously we have new teachers teaching their children. And the result and the impact here, of course, is jeopardizing achievement, learning losses, and losses in population in the school. And such a scenario is initiated by the leadership and the human resource strategies. The bias or the thinking concept or problem here is alternative paths when there are risks that are not seen by us and factors that we take for granted simply because we have convinced ourselves with something different. Now, more to that is post-COVID scenarios right now. So scenario number four, not attending to the 5 focus urgencies, which I specify considering what the schools are going through right now in post-COVID, accountability, achievement, great achievement losses, professional development, inclusion, and human cooperation. And of course, this is also jeopardizing student achievement, causing more learning losses and more loss also in population in schools. Such a scenario is definitely initiated by leadership, general community, and the pandemic at this kind of stage. And the thinking bias is the omission bias, which is simply deliberate inaction when we know what we have to do and we are simply not doing that. And this is absolutely unacceptable in this post-COVID stage. So let's all reshape those scenarios. It's time to change. We cannot fully close the gap between aspirations and reality, but we have to reduce it. So thank you so much for listening. And I wish that we truly know the values in all industries, especially in education, because it is the basic in everything. Thank you so much.
Manal, thank you so much.
Thank you,
I really do appreciate your input, and of course, call for a support for education, as it will provide society with the values that will help us build a resilient recovery from COVID-19. In fact, now we will have a break of 10 minutes, and then we will come back with Nuha Hifni, and whose presentation will really represent the core theme of the conference, talking about the social impact that we are supporting nowadays. So let's have a break of 10 minutes, and then we will come back with Nuha. Thank you so much. Dear audience, welcome back. Noha, are you there? Hi, Noha.
Hello. Good
Hi,
evening.
how are you? How is everything?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Fine, nice meeting you.
Same here, thank you. Honored to be here.
Well, Noha is the founder and the CEO of People of Impact. She's also a award-winning leader. And in fact, her topic is of great importance. She will speak about innovation and social impact, which really summarize the essence and the core theme of our whole conference. So the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hela. I'm very pleased and honored to be here with all of you this evening, and also greatly humbled to be amongst these incredible speakers who spoke earlier about leadership and impact investment. And I think, you know, my presentation will also build on that amazing flow, because I do touch a little bit on the mindset required for social impact innovation and on the impact investment and its role in the innovation ecosystem for social impact. So to introduce myself, as Dr. Hela said, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called People of Impact. It's a consulting firm focused on innovation for social impact. My background is that I've worked on social impact across 3 sectors. So with the United Nations at the UN Refugee Agency, at UN Women and UNESCO, but then also in the corporate sector with large multinational companies. And then I became a social entrepreneur. So having spent most of my career across these 3 sectors, you know, I have been able to look at the deepest gaps that exist within this social impact ecosystem. So I'll be using these insights a lot during my presentation today. So let me start with the current realities. And many of the wonderful speakers we had this morning, you know, earlier today, were covering a lot of the trends around the world and so on. But I'll talk about the sustainable development realities that the world is facing. So if we look at the first one, obviously COVID-19, it is more than a health crisis, it's an international development crisis. So let's look at the numbers. You have 26.3 million cases globally. 869,000 people have died until today. This number is pulled out earlier, right before this session, to make sure that it's the latest. 17.9, fortunately, have recovered million. But then you are looking at the impact of COVID-19 on multiple other development problems. So ILO says that 4 out of every 5 workers on Earth is affected by full or partial workplace closure, and at least 195 million jobs could be lost worldwide. So when you look at these numbers, you know, the magnitude is significant, and there will be a great need for partnerships in order to address these pressing challenges. When we look also at poverty, so from the 7.8 billion people who live in the world, from the world population, 9% are living under $1.90 or less a day. More than 700 million. This equates to more than 700 million. It is not a small number, you know, and an additional 40 to 60 million will fall into extreme poverty in 2020 as a result of COVID-19, according to the World Bank. half of the world is living under 5.5. So it's not the extreme poverty bracket, a little bit better, but still it's also a desperate condition, if you like. So 46% of people worldwide, representing 3.4 billion people who struggle to also meet basic needs. And you also have 780 million with no access to clean drinking water and around 1.2 billion people who have no access to electricity. The numbers for hunger are similar, 690 million who go to bed hungry each night, around 8.9% of the world population. And this number, again, is likely to reach 840 million by 2030. And this year, as a result of COVID-19, we will have an additional 132 million people who could become chronically hungry. That is not to say that, you know, people are not suffering out of other issues relating to their health. So for example, although you might not be hungry, there are still 2 billion people who have no access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food all year round. 3 billion who cannot afford a healthy diet. So the irony is that all of these numbers are happening while globally there is more than enough food produced to feed this global population. But this food is being wasted and resources are not going in the right place. And there needs to be new ways of doing things because what's happening now is obviously not working. When we look at displacement and refugees, you have 79.5 million forcibly displaced people worldwide. 26 million are refugees, out of which 44.2 are seeking asylums and are unsure of their future until they become recognized or settle in a host country. And 45.7 million are internally displaced because of conflict or droughts or natural disasters within their countries. So now I will pause here and also let us watch a video that covers, you know, water, sanitation, but also the impact of COVID-19. So as you have seen, you know, when you look at these numbers in the billions and millions, you know, everybody has a role to play. The burden is not only on governments, but we need the private sector, we need individuals, leaders, everybody, NGOs, influencers, everybody to come together to make a difference on these issues. So now, okay, coming to the solution, because we can spend, you know, so many minutes talking about the realities and the depressing numbers, but the reality is, you know, the solutions and the strategies, I would say, the targets, the frameworks already exist. And for years, you know, have been developed and further developed and improved, and one of which is the UN Sustainable Development Goals framework, which was adopted by more than 195 nations back in 2015. So world leaders agreed that these 17 goals are the goals and the agenda to realize by 2030 in order to transform humanity. So you will see here in these goals that the priorities that have been set to be realized by 2030 include poverty, hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water, clean energy, decent work, it also spans into new areas like innovation and technology and, you know, smart cities and how to improve industries, reduce inequalities, you know, have responsible consumption and production. So this is probably, you know, one of the most expansive agendas that the United Nations and the world has come up with in order to address these pressing challenges. However, because of COVID-19, you know, all of the targets set to achieve under each of these goals have been further exasperated, and I've shared how through some of the numbers. So now we need to dig deeper and look at, you know, why with all of these frameworks, bringing experts, you know, from everywhere, from academia, scientists, etc., these frameworks are still not working. There is some progress, I have to say, like, you know, recently polio has been eradicated, education at the primary school level has advanced. I have to say that before COVID-19 also, we saw an improvement on the poverty levels as well, hunger. However, again, not significantly sufficient to bridge the gaps. And there's also a huge funding gap in the trillions of dollars. So let's look at the social impact ecosystem. If we look at it, you have international organizations and NGOs. They are extremely burdened with having to reform, to have, you know, the NGOs need great capacity building. The international organizations are in themselves transforming the way they work so they can deliver more efficiently to the populations they serve. You take the social innovators and entrepreneurs who are actually ideating new solutions to address societal problems, but then here, you know, there is lack of support in terms of finance, in terms of the ability to scale your business models, etc. When you take the media would like, you know, to take a greater role in covering human stories and so on, but we need to raise awareness and we need to, you know, provide the right, accurate insights and data to put out the right stories that can raise awareness in the right way and really engage different populations more accurately. When you go to the private sector, again, the private sector, many companies around the world have integrated, for example, the UN Sustainable Development Goals into their business model. However, there is still a lot of resources being wasted on non-sustainable programs, you know, for marketing purposes or other purposes. So again, how can we, you know, further optimize the use of these resources? People should be, and they are the heart of this ecosystem, and they should be at the heart of every solution, and all the solutions we design should be human-centric. The public sector as well is starting, the owner of really many of the solutions in the social impact ecosystem, and doing their best as well to tackle the challenges at such a magnitude and, you know, the pressures presented also now by COVID-19. Academia and think tanks, you know, again, we need more data, more accurate numbers so that decisions can be made in the right way. Innovations that are being tailored can really serve the populations in need. So we need more research, more accurate data, especially in the countries that are the most impacted. Impact investors, I think Dr. Edna covered this part very well, but there is hope again to have increased you know, an increased role for impact investors in social enterprises. And I can say that as a woman myself, you know, who created several social enterprises, it is not that easy to secure the funding. It is possible, but yes, you know, there is great need again to equip the social innovators and entrepreneurs with the skills needed to be able to pitch their businesses to investors, but also the investors, you know, having clearer, for example, guidelines or minimum standards, particularly in regions that have not had, you know, where it is an emerging trend to have impact investment. So at the end, what I want to say is innovation is a catalyst for a better future. And I'll dive into two, you know, innovation is such a broad topic, so there are so many areas under innovation, but I will dive specifically into open innovation and social innovation. So these are two terms, emerging terms, and open innovation was primarily used in the private sector to innovate new products and new processes and business models. And the idea of open innovation were companies going external. So from innovating all the time by using their internal resources, they decided to leverage the expertise of external parties or tools coming from outside the company. And the idea here is that the benefit was that it's more cost effective, you minimize risks, you engage with others who could be potential customers, and you are co-creating solutions. At the same time, social innovation emerged and mainly adopted by mostly entrepreneurs, where is defined as a new solution to a social problem which is more effective, efficient, and sustainable compared to existing solutions. We see a lot of entrepreneurs who have created business models that merge the profit with the purpose for the betterment of the world. But the term social innovation, to be precise, is not only coined to entrepreneurs. Anyone can be a social innovator, really. So the core of what I want to leave as a message today is that there isn't a lot of research done, academic research done on this area so far, but there is a great opportunity to merge these two processes of open innovation with social innovation in order to come out with better result. So let's say if we look at this model, you have a problem that emerges. We bring together open innovation, which is a collaborative process that brings people from all walks of life, including the government, the academia, the NGO, artists, entrepreneurs, all on one table to ideate for a given problem. I guarantee you that the collective power of these ideas will result in very innovative breakthrough and sustainable, hopefully sustainable solutions. So after the collaborative process, you will find a new product, service, program, and also new social practices. So we integrate the social here. And again, we bring in the technological innovation, which should be cross-cutting because we are living in a digital world. So we should, world, so we should be leveraging technology across the board. And here, as a result, we will find better and more enhanced economic and social development. So the benefit of integrating these two processes is really that the solutions will be tailored to the needs of the people that they impact, because they can involve people who are impacted by these problems. The second is, there is less risk, less cost, because instead of coming up with programmatic solutions for social impact issues over the period of 1 year or 6 months and putting it through the ecosystem that exists today, you will have solutions in real time that could be finalized at in weeks or in much less than what it currently takes. Lastly, this will enable the creation of partnerships and stakeholder engagement. It will leverage diversity and in turn, as I said, drive, the sustainable development goals, economic growth, and come up, more importantly, with new ways of doing things. As we go through this process and we talk about innovation for social impact, it is critical never to forget the importance of, when innovating for social impact, we always have to look at the value of what we are innovating. The scalability, can it be replicated across different countries, and can it be scaled and grow further to benefit more people in the community? And of course, the impact. How does it work for those who are impacted by a given problem? So some shifts are required to enable these processes to happen. And I think we've heard some of them also earlier today. So some shifts are systemic. We need an integrated approach versus, a tick the box approach on social responsibility program design. We need a transformative leadership mindset to enable this process for the private sector with intrapreneurship, for public sector, again, being the enabler and the umbrella for these innovations to flourish. And I think we have a great example here in UAE. We need greater cross-sector partnerships and going beyond competition to co-petition. And what I mean here is two companies who are competing in the same industry may come together to address, for example, gender equality or a common issue that affects that industry. And this is what the world needs today, going over our differences and bringing together our commonalities and resources for the greater good beyond competition. Building innovation capacity in organizations. So instead of running it as tasks and projects, shift it to becoming co-creation processes to come up with new solutions with people and not just for people. And for all of that to happen, we need to mobilize resources, technology, and capacity building. We need multi-stakeholder partnerships. These are crucial in order to leverage the interlinkages that exist in the social impact ecosystem. So I will close here, Dr. Hela, by saying that open innovation for social impact can shape the future and solve some of these challenges, but it really depends on each of us as leaders to think. I will build on Dr. Joyce again, to think of our legacy, how we want to transform our organizations and ourselves as leaders as we go into the next era post COVID-19 and as we lead in the future in order to enable open innovation for social impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Your presentation was really so inclusive. And you mentioned that, yes, to survive, there is some responsibility on the individual level and on the institutional level. So which do you think is greater, the individual level at this time of post-COVID or the institutional level? Or we should go for a collaborative approach?
I think we need a collaborative approach and solidarity. Really, this is a time for empathy. This is a time, you know, where everybody really, whether it is organizations or individual, I think doing their best to navigate and challenge and weather this crisis. And therefore, I think collaboration and empathy is the best way forward, and compassionate leadership.
Yeah, for sure. And in fact, this stresses the importance of leadership. And that's why this conference brought the best of leaders, I suppose, on the global level, just to give the people what they need. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nuha. You've been so inspirational and practical, dynamic at the same time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hela.
And now let's welcome Arundhati Sigel. Are you there, Arundhati? Hi.
Hello, Dr. Hala. How are you?
Hi, how are you? How's everything?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Thanks for such a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. Arundhati is a brand. Yeah, you're most welcome. Arundhati is a brand strategist and marketing consultant. And today she's going to talk about strategic planning for professionals. So the mic is yours, Arundhati.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Dr. Hala, thank you for this great opportunity and such fantastic, accomplished speakers that I got a chance to be among today. And I think the whole of today's session has been extremely interesting, and it kind of weaves into what I'm going to talk about. While I try and focus on professional service firms, but I think it's applicable to almost everybody else as well. And all the previous speakers who talk about mental well-being, social responsibility, impact investment, social innovation, etc., you know, ultimately comes down to how professionals and corporations and individuals put it together to recover, redesign, and rebuild from this massive crisis that we're into. In fact, one of the very early times in my career, where I was working with the United Nations, started 3 months into the journey with one of the most tragic earthquakes in the country, in India, that I was. And that kind of gave me such a huge impetus to realize the importance of preparedness, importance of planning, and importance of how we need to rebuild and redesign. And that kind of has taken me through my journey of working in the social development sector and also in the corporate over the years. So I'll take you through a couple of aspects of how COVID has affected and what could be the strategies that professionals and professional service firms could take and build through. A lot of aspects of it is actually weaves into what most of the speakers have spoken about. So I think we can glean all of that together and hopefully have an interesting learning over the years and days. So this is a very reality check that's happened. In fact, in many of the organizations that I've worked, and many of the people that I have spoken to in this couple of months have come to this reality where for a long period of time, digital transformation was kind of told to be, okay, we'll do it today, tomorrow, and then here comes a wrecking ball, which actually hit us all and has kind of taken us to another completely different dimension of adopting digital as one of the aspects of COVID. But the real crisis that is looming, actually as put by the IMF, says that year on year, we will see, at least in June, it said minus 4.9 real GDP growth and nearly $9 trillion loss between 2020 and 2021. So just as Noha spoke about the crisis in the whole world, the financial crisis actually aggravates that aspect of it, and which brings to the point a lot of concerns of the CFOs. And you can see on the charts from April to June how that has actually changed. And all this will actually impact on how companies, individuals, concerns, institutions, and nations need to really think about how to take their strategies and planning, etc., forward. So there was a time when financial impact was the most important, and in June, what actually scared or what actually worried them more was what will happen if there is a new wave of COVID. So financial impact, COVID, impact of economic downturn, everything has been escalating, and everything has been bringing a kind of a huge amount of paranoia around, and trying to recover and redesign is getting daunting. The whole world, whether it's work, socializing, moving around, everything has been kind of turned upside down by COVID. We all know the various aspects of it. Consumers are totally in limbo. This chart gives you a very good insight into how people are, there was a time where people weren't leaving home. In many parts of the world, even today, they are not allowed to. Social distancing continues to be a very important part of this thing, and the changing priorities over the long and its long-lasting effects. The whole dynamics of trying new brands, looking at the way you are, excessively glued onto the way we are watching entertainment, the way our health habits are changing. Everything is kind of changing, which brings to the point that a lot of professionals and people around the world need to look at the world in a very, very different way. It's affected revenues, which in turn will affect investments, which in turn will affect the growth of the nations. More than 50% feel that there has been a decrease in their revenue expectation. Nearly 25% feel that there will be a decrease of 35% of their revenue, which is going to be a huge toll, as was done by the MIT Technology Review Insights survey with nearly 300 plus global panel members. So these insights kind of take you to a very interesting study, or actually a webinar conducted by one of the London Business School professors. Talked about, if you see the blue line, and that's how organizations or companies or professionals or professional firms or various even individuals plan the growth. So it's the way that it's planned is an absolute linear line, but the reality is the red, which talks about lots of sudden shocks which happen. But at the same time, there are also many instances over the years on how the green graph that clearly shows that there have been opportunities along with these shocks. It's about how we rediscover them, how we design, and how we move forward. The only challenge here, of course, as he mentioned, was even after the financial crisis, or even after 9/11, almost after 1 year, everything fell back to normal. So the only hope is after COVID-19, we don't fall back, but we realize and we reset, and we figure out new ways of innovation, new ways of resetting ourselves. Gartner put up a very interesting study very recently, which talked about what we all need to do is initially, of course, respond, plan to recover, and of course, renew ourselves. So everything that we've been talking about, strategically thinking, having a vision, having great leadership, having empathy, all needs to be put in these three brackets, and that's the only way to go forward. As part of my in the last few weeks and months, what I've been doing is actually speaking to a lot of professional firms. And this is part of a three-part journey, which I want to look at professional firms. I want to look at startup entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs and how they are facing COVID. So this is one part, the first part of that study, which is still ongoing, which actually brought together a lot of professionals from these various areas of services that they provide, and get to understand what have been their learnings from COVID. So this is a quick glimpse of what I got from most of them. And the most important being, it will not be business as usual, and we need to be ready for that. We need to be cautious at all times. We need to be prepared. And authenticity and empathy, again and again, even in the various conversations that we've had today, comes out to be extremely prominent as both leaders and individuals. Collaborative working, the need for shifting to a need for a cultural shift, agility, and to be prepared at all times. One of the interesting aspects of the survey that I did was to figure out how easy was the digital shift. And as I had shown in the very first slide, a few of them felt it was easy. Nearly 40% felt easy, 40% felt moderate, and 20% still find it very difficult. So there are various people who still come to me to say, we want to go digital, but we still don't know how to go digital. They're completely bogged down. So there is a need, but there is still a gap. And that's one of the aspects of the change that COVID has brought to the people. And of course, there have been massive negative aspects. At the same time, there have also been many positives which will come out: the way of working, the way of condensed timelines, our commitments, efficient processes. People are going to probably look back. Many of them have realized that what the aspects of things that they have set on a back burner needs to be put forward. Efficiencies of people, efficiencies of using various digital applications, efficiencies of working collaboratively, understanding the need of flexible working, a hybrid approach to online and offline. These are the various inputs that I've received through the survey that I've been able to speak to people. And of course, the negative, as Noha also mentioned a little while ago, they are mounting and they are increasing, but I think we need to work together to move a lot of this negative to the positive and see what change can be brought about. Coming to the aspect of proactive approach, so those are the problems, but now we need to look at how we have to find the solutions. And one of the most important learnings from these discussions have been the need for proactive approach. And one of the interesting ways of doing that is to start reflecting. And it's important, the most important being we need to survive. And one of the most important things is to kind of develop a decision tree to figure out where do we stand as organizations, as professional firms, on what we can, to what extent we've been affected by COVID, to what extent has our infrastructure been affected, to what extent have our people been affected, and figure out a simple algorithm of solving the problems. Nothing simple in these times, but still we need to figure out ways and means to do it and collectively do that. So one of the interesting aspects is while many people are thinking of what to do, but it is an opportunity to rethink operations. I had a very interesting discussion in one of the webinars where one of the firms is thinking of, they were very, very local, regional to the UAE. And this is an opportunity they're looking at, and how they can go global and serve those nations where the kind of service they provide doesn't exist. So people are rethinking of the way to use their resources. However, of course, there are lots of polarized situations that are happening in this in the current scenario. One of the interesting aspects, of course, again comes back again and again to accelerate digital. A very interesting news that came out just 3 days ago on how Zoom has capitalized on being on utilizing digital, and not just digital, but collaboration. And I think we thank a lot to Zoom on how it's enabled so many of us to work, to connect, to engage, to learn, and various aspects. So every company should look at, and every professional firm should look at ways of advising their clients, advising their prospective clients, advising education institutions and various other people on how digital can be used for collaborative opportunities. This is an interesting feature which talks about the sectors which are less affected, which are neutral, and which are strongly affected during this COVID, which can be used as an opportunity to learn for many, many organizations. There are some very interesting there are very interesting entrepreneurs who have come up with startups for healthcare, who have moved and shifted their offerings to the people, all with a purpose to survive, all with a purpose to provide various solutions, and all with the purpose to be there for their client or for the society. So it's a very interesting opportunity that can be put into various strategies and planning processes, is to see what are the areas that have scope, and what are the areas that people can look in to cope and grow during this times. A very interesting, and this is a leading, BT Communications is a leading UK communications professional firm, and for a large amount of time, they were all they were doing was marketing solutions, but they listened, they adapted, they became agile. And if you notice this, all this through pictorials, on 21st of May, they launched a business transformation team on the request of their clients, because they were finding it very difficult to cope. They were finding that there needs to be beyond marketing. They need to figure out how they can survive. So they quickly, within a few weeks, established a transformation, business transformation team. In the next few weeks, they partnered to beat with companies. Again, another 4 weeks, they established a digital transformation team. And on 1st of September, they announced that they actually bounced back, being the most successful in the last 12 months. That's the kind of agility that we need organizations and teams to look at, and leaders to kind of emulate. A lot of, in fact, yesterday Deborah talked about using outsourcing support services. And that's one of the interesting things that people should adopt for. And of course, saving costs is important, but I think it has to be done very intelligently. This is, of course, something which very interestingly came in most of my surveys, is nearly 50% of people said either they have a contingency plan, but they've never really used it, or they don't have it at all. So it's time that people start using or thinking of how to go from chaos to clarity, and actually using predictive analysis. One of my friends actually shared a very interesting aspect of how they used predictive analysis in these times of COVID. Actually, they were pushed to use this predictive analysis, and they realized that they didn't have contingency planning, and how they are now using not just predictive analysis to understand what could be the various scenarios, but also implementing it as real time, because you never know what's the next crisis that's going to hit us. So it's extremely important to have a plan and to kind of build scenarios to survive the current crisis, and also to come out of the crisis. One of the very interesting aspects, which I think everyone from yesterday and today has been talking about, is culture, the culture shift that's required, and how important it is. So whether it's an organization trying to set up its brand, in fact, if you see today, most of the brands are spending a lot of time and energy to build the culture, to create empathy, upskill people, to have the digital shift, to enable collaboration, building trust, etc. In fact, a very interesting case study, or actually not a case study, but an actual real life happening was there's an organization in the UAE who actually brought together even customers who were with them from the past 30 years. They kind of connected with all of them and connected them through music because they found that a lot of them were finding it extremely difficult to cope. So they used it as an opportunity to bring smiles, hope, and build confidence and care. So it was not about the products they sold. It's a conglomerate. They were not interested to sell the products or the solution, but to bring people, which actually has built a huge amount of brand confidence, leadership confidence, and customer confidence. And they intend to do various more such initiatives. So that's the kind of cultural shift organizations and firms need to look at. They need to look at it within, and they need to reach out to their professional partners and firms to provide them with those insights and support to help them grow, upskill, and be flexible. To sum it up, I would say one of the most important things for us is, yes, of course, to survive. Business will not be as usual. We need leadership and culture that will help us cope with this scenario. We need strategy planning, of course. We need to redesign, but we can only do all of that if we are together. So I think, Dr. Hala, one of this conference is a kind of stepping stone for that, and it's such amazing opportunity that all of us can bring together to, as I said in my very first slide, recover, redesign, and rebuild. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arundhati. In fact, the flow of your ideas alongside the other ideas of the speakers has been amazing. And as I get, so your best advice is not to slow down, reflect, and then try to cope with the, be innovative, try to care for the social impact, as Noha said, and go ahead. May I ask you, do you think that there is a relation between the coming back of social activities, human activities, and a kind of economic bloom that we are looking for, even in certain sectors?
Yes, indeed, there is. There is always, because I think, after all, as Yasser had said, if people are the center of it. So even if, am I audible? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. So definitely, people being the center of it, whether it's business or society or community, nation, all of it has a social impact. And the better business, the better the economy, the better the society gets to grow. So I think it's a mutual relationship, and how we build that. Each one of us thus has a role as a social innovator, and collaborating with open innovation and social innovation, as Noha said, comes absolutely in sync.
Yes, thank you so much. And in fact, you mentioned something very important in relation to leadership, which brings us to our closing keynote speaker, Her Royal Highness Princess Moradion, who will talk about women in leadership and their role in the post-COVID-19. Hello, Princess.
Hello, wonderful to meet you all over here, all the amazing speakers. And it is so funny that I laughed when Arundhati Sigel was doing a speech, and she had a cartoon there that had the Chinese bully and the US bully, and it's like, pick one. Well, as women leaders, we don't necessarily have to pick one, do we? Because we just really deal with things as it comes to us. It's a pleasure to be among these amazing speakers that we have here. I mean, from yesterday, it's been nonstop actually. And I'm learning each and every day. And today's speakers, from Dr. Baha, of course, Dr. Maya's journey was just really inspiring, just really impactful. And I just want to Dr. Edna, who really gave us the impact investing advice that we need, especially when we're dealing with this COVID-19, and of course, Mana, Dr. Sumeda, Noah, and of course, that's the girl. It's just really been great, and just really looking forward to all the great speakers. That's coming out, especially tomorrow too. So we're looking forward to that. So. My name is Princess Dr. Morade Ogunlano. I'm from the Royal House in Lagos, Nigeria, and in Ogun State. I am a UN ambassador for peace and culture with the Global Summit Group, which is a participating member of the UN Global Compact, and as well as the founder and CEO of the African Women's Health Project International, which is the organization that actually leads in medical missions, all throughout the world. And it's apt today that we're speaking about women in leadership. And I want to go ahead and share my screen. And I already sent it, so I didn't know exactly whether that was, if I was to do that. Okay, with technology, we're definitely great. COVID has definitely got us whereby we have to adapt whether we like it or not. So today I'm speaking about women in leadership and their role in the post-coronavirus era. When we're talking about women in leadership, first we have to look at the power of the woman. One of the things about this is that this becomes almost significant, especially because of the Global Summit on Women Empowerment, of which I was the official convener in my capacity as the chairman of the Global Summit Group, only recently held at the UN. Now, I want you to think for a minute, each of you. If you could play God and create the perfect leader of our time, what would this person look like? Number one, you will want this person to be wise, able to comprehend many sides of complicated issues, and create novel and innovative solutions to problems. You will want the perfect leader to be working for the good of the whole group, not just for personal glory or power. The perfect leader will inspire others by understanding their perspective, capitalizing on their strengths, and overcoming their weaknesses. And the perfect leader will persist until the job was done, even if it meant personal sacrifice. Well, you've just described a woman. Our reality right now with COVID, our world will never be the same. And we need to make sure that it's better. Women at local, national, and international leaders were fully committed to lead the transformation from the bottom up, because the world now know that women are special species and we have enormous power. When we talk about women leaders and that are in positions of power, first I want to describe to you, I want to give you a definition of women in position. Women in positions of power are women who hold an occupation that gives them great authority, influence, and/or responsibility. Historically, power has been distributed among the sexes disparately. Power and powerful positions have most often been associated with men as opposed to women. And as gender equality increases, women hold more and more powerful positions due to policy and social reform. When we're looking at the faces of position of power, we go, and this is why I brought this slide to actually be able to show you, because we're going to go from leadership to being a woman in a woman in the leadership position, to the face of success, to empathy, humanity, and of course, and way forward. As Sheryl Sandberg, she said, leadership is about making others feel better as a result of your presence and making sure that that impact lasts in your absence. And of course, our First Lady, the late Barbara Bush, she said, somewhere out in this audience may even be someone who will one day follow in my footsteps and preside over the White House as the president's spouse. I wish him well. Indicating that, of course, we are looking forward to having a woman as a president of this United States. And of course, when you look at the face of success, I look at Miss Barack Obama, Miss Michelle Barack Obama, who says success isn't about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives. And of course, to our Mother Teresa, who says, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. And of course, Malala said it best, who says, we cannot succeed when half of us are held back. I lost my father very recently. Well, it's not so recent, but definitely it feels like yesterday to me. And it was what I termed the gentle prince. And he told me at a very tender age, he said, my daughter, always remember the power you have within you. He said, when you educate a man, you educate the individual, but when you educate a woman, you educate the world. Because he believes that women lead with wisdom, integrity, and inspirational power every day in their family, their workplace, and their community. They're often hand-recognized for this leadership, of course, because they don't wave their arms or ask for recognition, as we see in the case of the two bullies, which one do we pick? Instead, they simply harness their strength to get the job done and fix the problem as they arise and help people in need. When case in point will be the perfect case of that's going on in Germany and also in New Zealand. Clear classic example of women in leadership and what they can accomplish in such a very short time. It is clear that health emergencies do not impact men and women in the same way, and this simple knowledge will be critical to overcoming this and future pandemic. We want to empower and safer women and children will lead to resilient and safer societies, and we want to amplify women's voices of all generations that can set the pathway towards generation equality, where women's leadership is no longer an exception, but the norm. And that is one of the reasons why we're doing this. Our charge now, moving forward, as women, we're going to let us take up this challenge and dare to be powerful. We are sparking a revolution in the very concept of what it means to be a woman. We're bringing this strength to the care of our family, to the marketplace, to the community service, and to political leadership, and the world is better for it. When you talk about empathy, adaptation, collaboration, and passionate, those are clear examples of women. And when such crises as the coronavirus hit us, one of the best things that we can do instead of reacting immediately is to do it the way Oprah Winfrey said it best. She said, the way to get to yourself is to literally get still and be alone, and to drown out the voices of the world so that you can find your own way. Because your own way is always the right way. You can spend the years of your life looking outside of yourself for the answers to why am I here and what am I really supposed to do. But only when you are conscious enough to connect to the stillness within you can you really find the answer. Really profound. We're looking at now traditional roles. And I think in government, when we're looking at in the government, one of the things that, especially because I live here in the United States, these are some of the things that we actually have, that we deal with. A woman in the White House, what if the war were to break out? What if the economy went south? What in the world would she do? Those were the questions that apparently gave many Americans pause as the 2000 and then 2016 presidential election approached. But one thing is this, that women in leadership, they have been observed, scrutinized, and then applauded because they know that women leaders around the world have had the considerable more success in slowing the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic and its general outcome. Because women live with wisdom and integrity and inspiration every day. In industries and businesses, the glass ceiling is tired because women are reinventing the game. And as we move forward, especially when we're talking about women leadership after the COVID-19, with the coronavirus global pandemic, the world is realizing that women fare better in crisis than men. When Christine Lagarde was nominated by the European Council to be the next president of the European Central Bank, the first woman to hold the position, critics wonder if the move was indicative of the glass ceiling, the phenomenon in which women seem more likely to be put in charge of an organization at a crisis point. In healthcare, the COVID-19 pandemic is not just a health issue. It is a profound shock to our society and our economies. And as the other speakers have said, in various ways, how this has been a shock to every one of us. Nobody could have prepared for this the way it is. But the women are at the heart of care and response efforts underway. Women, we see women, being the one that's actually in the frontline as frontline responders, healthcare professionals, community volunteers, transport, logistic managers, scientists, and more. Women are making critical contributions to address this outbreak every day. Okay, this thing is going back. Okay. At the United Nations level, the responses have just been tremendous. It's just really been great. One of the things is this: women leaders agree that ensuring gender equality and women's rights is essential to getting through this pandemic together, to recovering faster and building a better future for us. They urge governments and all stakeholders to put women and girls at the center of their efforts and place women's leadership and contribution at the heart of the COVID-19 response, resilience, and recovery efforts. So you're going to see more of that. Action items now for us to do. First, we need to step forward to ensure that we take decisive steps to protect and empower women and girls everywhere, from gender-based violence, in particular in relations to domestic violence situations. We want to promote new governance models that allow for co-creation with all stakeholders, and in particular, women's leadership in all sectors of society. Women must be involved in leading the recovery after COVID and the response to future emergencies. We need to improve the working conditions of women, in particular in the care-related jobs, which needs to be guarantee inclusion and hold our society together. We need to involve women in COVID-19 specialized groups and task force, as well as legislative, policy, and budgetary decision-making process. And lastly, we need to foster gender-sensitive universal health care, research, and local service provision to have overcome this pandemic and support women and children beyond the outbreak. Our way forward. I just want to comment what Dr. Hala is doing over here, and I want to challenge all of us here today to focus on our strengths and the strength of the women you know, rather than on weaknesses. Notice how these strengths play out in small ways and big ways, and notice how much they affect other people. By doing this, you all are all women of strength. So let's build this strength together so that we can do anything we want to do and be brilliant in whatever we do. And I'd like to close with this important quote from the incomparable Dr. Maya Angelou. She says this: open your eyes to the beauty around you, open your mind to the wonders of the life. of life. Open your heart to those who love you and always be true to yourself. Be true to yourself is what my mother always told me, growing up. Your perspective can propel you forward or hold you back. And Maya Angelou taught us to see and seek the wonder, and we're forever grateful for it, displaying the power of a woman. And I like to say, and the way she says best, she say, I am a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. Our world is in our hands, from Africa to North America, Middle East, Latin America, United Arab Emirates, Asia, United Kingdom. We're all a global village. And when we have these main things at our focus, empathy, adaptation, collaborative, and passionate about it, we can definitely lead the world to a better society. Thank you so much. And as you can see on the screen over there is my information. So please feel free to reach out for me. Let's build back a resilient recovery after COVID. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Your Highness, Princess. You summarized all the message and all the flow of thoughts that preceded you in a wonderful, flow of beautiful and inspirational ideas. Really, I do believe that the best advice is just try to be yourself. Mm-hmm. Just accept your weaknesses and your faults and try to, just focus on your potentials and exploit them to survive. Your Highness, I wonder if there are any questions and you would like to answer them. Dear audience, yes. This is a golden chance for you to be in contact with Her Highness Princess, and she will be ready to answer your questions.
Okay, I'm looking at the comments over here. I don't really see a question, but feel free to answer any kind of question. Okay, I see something over here. Women in leadership is another leap that we need in society and enterprise. What is your advice for all of us to make this leap? Great question. That's from Sigil. Okay. Wonderful. And with women, one of the things, once you have all these things, especially with women, what we do, we lead with empathy. We lead with inner strength, because when you look at it, women are the strong bond that puts everything together. The man came from out of a woman. After Adam was created, the woman came from the man, but then the woman is the one that now gave birth to all the men. So because of that, we have this natural ability to be able to put things together, to lead with empathy, looking at other, and to lead in the transformational way. And I think that's really the short form of it, leading through this transformational model is really the great way. Oh, I love it. Man came from woman. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, thank you. Yes, God created Adam, and then the woman came from the man, and then the woman is the one that now birthed everyone else. So
yeah,
thank you so much.
Princess, if I may intrude, once I attended a Women in Leadership Summit, mm-hmm. and the question was, what was the masculine role in allowing, women into positions of leadership? And, at that time, until now, I believe that males and the masculine element in our life play a very supportive role. In fact,
yes. Yes.
Whenever I feel that I lost the purpose, there is always, for example, there has been my brother, my husband, and now my son.
Yes.
Whatever you sow, you will reap, So the respect I planted in the heart of my son, now I find it in the support and inspiration he provides for me whenever I am in time of need, you know.
Oh, that is so, and
you feel that you need someone to support you. You feel that oh, where is my vision? Where am I? What is my purpose? And then you will find the support for the males. I can't ignore the fact that, yes, in some parts of the world, women, you know, are subject to, you know, discrimination or whatever. But as I aim in this conference and all the time, I like just to focus on the positive part.
And one of the things I wanted to mention is the fact that I couldn't agree with you more, because I always use the example of UAE and how the prince, the ruler, is the one that's actually bringing the women forward. Is when you talk about a real definition of women empowerment, is the one that's actually leading that charge. And that is one thing that is just really mind-blowing. Even completely different from what you see in some of the other areas in the world. And when you say, when we're talking about women empowerment, my father earlier on instilled in me, and that's the reason why I'm standing the way I am here now today. And then I still find that support from my brothers. You know, I think one of them is watching right now, or, you know, my brothers, you know, I mean, they are the support system. And then I find the even further now in my grandson, who just coming into the room like this give me strength. So we do need, so it needs to be a collective effort, and the men, I mean, have a lot to do with this. I remember one time we had a conference. I was a speaker in the Bahamas, and the Prime Minister said, well, in his house, one thing he has learned is that he is the general of the house, but the wife is the major. That is, he makes all the general decisions and she makes all the major decisions. And that's really cracked me up, because of the fact that, you know, we see a lot of men are the ones that are actually helping us to become the very, very best of ourselves.
Yeah, it is really the interrelation between the heart and the mind. Mm-hmm. And, you know, between the emotional intelligence, the empathy, and, yes, you know, the logic, the wisdom that, yes, we need at certain times of our life. Right. And we can't do without it, of course. And if they used to say that behind every great man there is a woman, I can say also behind every leader in women leadership, there is also a man who will support, yes, her. Of course, and I suppose the best advice for all women is just to be that kind of, you know, smart. You know, you can't do
yes,
a life. You know, we were created as male and females. I don't know, yes, but I feel that such kind, you know, of cohesion, of harmony with nature. Yes, will just lead us to the position we aim at in leadership.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree. And thank you, everyone. I mean, this has just been, there's a lot of comments on there. And I know that, especially once we start talking about women empowerment and women and the men's role, and, you know, you will get a lot of comments, and it's really beautiful because, you know, once you know that you recognize, you know, the importance of both, you know, and the importance, and you said it quite clearly. Behind every successful man is a woman, and behind every successful man is a man. And, you know, and they do go, and not only, they don't necessarily even have to, and that's the reason why they now even come up with, okay, beside, whether beside, behind, any which way, just make sure that, you know, as long as you have that support system, somebody that just champion you on, that is the most important thing. And I just want to say, I mean, these incredible, powerful women and men that have spoken, the women that have spoken, the journey of Dr. Maya was just, I mean, incredible to me. So I just want to say thank you all so much for having me. And and I can't wait until COVID is over and I can actually be over there in the UAE with you.
Yeah, sure. Princess, we still have a few minutes if you want just to answer a few questions. Because this is, as I said, a golden chance for everyone.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. The comment I see is just really been like, it's just really been amazing lecture, Princess, very inspiring and elevating for the soul. Many thanks, Dr. Nala. Thank you. Inspiration and heartfelt. Oh, I got energized for the rest of the week. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Women empowerment is very important to me. You know, growing up, I grew up in Nigeria, came to the United States, and now I work within the United States and in Africa, and I do a lot of things, you know, in the area of women empowerment, as well as, you know, bringing access to healthcare for women, especially in the rural areas, women that have no they can't, you know, otherwise would not even be able to get access to healthcare. So I'm able to provide that, and I'm able to, you know, to bridge the gap. And that is really wonderful. And of course, you know, not only just in Africa, but, you know, in the Latin America also too. And we're doing some work over in Asia too. So I look forward to just collaborating with you all and see how we can make this world, because one of the things we know is that we are each other's strength. And when we are, you know, when one woman rises, all the women rise. So we need to rise together, and we are a global village, as we see, especially with this COVID, where we're all in each other's sitting room, in each other's living room, and, you know, and we're having impact, global impact, even though we're under lockdown. So I just want to say thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Hala. You are just, I mean, you are phenomenal. Like Dr. Maya Angelou said, phenomenal woman, that's you. So just want to say thank you.
No, it's you, Princess. And there is always, at the peak, there is always a place for men and women, right?
Yes, yes.
There is always place for both of them. And, you know, if you want to go up the hill, it's good to have some support.
It is. As a matter of fact, it makes your journey so much easier and so much faster, and you get there together to, you know, much faster. That means, because when you actually, when you look at somebody, I think somebody wrote something about my struggle with being a woman and where I am today. One of the things I've always believed, and that's why it's been like that with me from early on, is that I figure if I'm going on if you just look at it, if you're going up the hill and you're going by yourself, you will get to a point like this, you get tired, you get thirsty, you lose your energy. But just imagine if you have 4, 5, 6 people with you and you're going up the hill. If you get tired, somebody else can pick up the energy, you know, can zap you the energy, and that's the way it is. And that's what, you know, as women, we have to develop this collaborative approach in everything that we do.
Exactly.
No one, you know, with one match, you know, you can light a candle, but, you know, with a whole bunch, you know, you can actually, you know, impact the forest. So we need to be thinking like that, and that has been my journey, because, you know, I never go alone. That's one of, I never go alone. When I'm going, I'm going with people along with me. And that way the journey becomes easier, it's less stressful. And because, and at the same time too, everybody is realizing their strength as they go along with us.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Are there any questions?
Women supporting. Yeah, I mean, it's just really been a lot of great comments. Thank you so much. I'm on Instagram at Princess Moradeo, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. And if you are on LinkedIn, please feel free, let's connect so that we can be able to share ideas, you know, and network together. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in person very soon.
Sure, we'd love to. We will make a celebration for everyone, those who shared in this conference. And there is a very good news for those of the audience who were not so lucky to attend. We have all the sessions recorded, and we will share the videos on LinkedIn and on all other social medias, because those really were very precious moments. I myself enjoyed my journey with all the speakers yesterday and today.
Yes.
You were just outstanding, and everyone, those who attended the conference, were very lucky to have you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think those moments should never stop.
My pleasure, and I look forward to listening to the on the final day. So I'll be here with you also.
Yeah, tomorrow we have phenomenal speakers. We have Kevin. He is a great educationist. So you know, he built 3 schools and a library in Nepal. So we come to the humanitarian aspects of education and people. Such things we want to encourage. We have Vanessa, a great artist, you know, and she tries to help the world with her arts and music. We have so many speakers today, inshallah. We have 8.
Oh,
so inshallah, we will meet tomorrow, and maybe by the end of tomorrow's sessions, we will have also time to discuss and have you more.
Okay, wonderful, inshallah.
Thank you, highly appreciated. Dear audience, it's very time to put an end to such a wonderful session, but I suppose it's time to say goodbye. Inshallah, we will meet again. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.